You're listening to the Reed Fletcher podcast. Today's episode is really here we go. I just finished up with Kimberly Olson, the goal digger girl. She's really awesome. She's great. She has tons of experience with network marketing, $1 million personal coaching business, multiple time best-selling author. Great mindset. She's an entrepreneur. She's overcome a lot, and she gives a lot of tips on how to build your personal brand, how to grow your own business, and I hope you enjoy.
My 4 just got home and she had her cast taken off. She does not fully like my 6-year-old. She just bust in. So I don't know, with recording and all the things, just a heads up, I heard them literally just roll into the garage.
No problem. What
Like,
happened?
she fell off out of a tree. It was like 3.5 feet off the ground, but her shoe got stuck and just landed. She fractured her elbow. But the cool thing was it was only 3 weeks of a cast. And it was the end of summer, so at least it wasn't like prime time for pool. You know what I mean?
Right. She didn't have to like have her arm out of the pool.
So we had our friends visiting from Washington to decide if they're going to move to Austin. So we had them over Sunday night. We have a outdoor kitchen and a hot tub and a pool and whatever. So we had them all out. And here's Elise trying not to put her, because they went in the hot tub, the kids did. She's trying not to. So she only had to do that once, but it was so pointless. It was so pointless. Like, cause it's like dipping in and I'm like, oh no, but yeah, it turned out to be fine. So anyways.
So do you have just the two?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's equal to like 3 kids. So it's fine. I'm serious. Like you'll see her in a minute, probably. I have a feeling she'll bust in here. Do you have kids?
So we just had our first kid. Yeah, I'd love to meet her. Yeah, thank you. 5 months.
Oh, can I see it? Let me see. How's it feel? It doesn't feel good. Okay, can I have a hug? You okay?
Hi, cool? Nice to meet you.
Here, you can hear him. He says hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
His name's Reed. Okay, I'll be out in a little bit, okay? Will you tell Daddy I have 1 podcast left? Okay. I have a podcast, honey. It's okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, she's gonna be a heartbreaker one day, but yeah, normally she's well, the other one talks a lot. The other one has a YouTube show. She's 6.5. Oh yeah, she'll talk to anything. If it's a shoe just sitting there, she'll talk to it. Like,
she takes after her mom.
Yeah, she'll be like doing all this stuff one day, I'm sure. So 5 months old, is it a girl or a boy?
Boy.
Oh, yeah. What's his name?
His name is Jay. J-A-Y.
Oh, how sweet. Well, congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
I remember that time period. You're a little sleep deprived, but you're starting to get a little like some smiles and it's like a little feedback.
Yeah, it's you're starting like right when he was born. It's just kind of like us playing with this like blob. He's a blob, but he's just kind of like looking at us, like no expression, but
total one-way street.
Yeah, now he, I can tickle him and he'll like react, and he's kind of starting to want to eat everything and shove everything in his mouth. So I can't even imagine. It's almost kind of weird. Like, I'm sure everyone goes through this when they have their first kid, but I see like, your kid who's 4 or my nephew who's 3. I'm like, I cannot imagine him that old.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with them, their ages, when I see the younger one in what the older one was wearing, and now that would be way too small for her. And our neighbor has 2 girls that are younger, so we give her all the stuff, and then those girls are wearing it. And I'm like, oh, I remember when they were that little and they could fit in it. And it's so weird. Like it does. You kind of forget as you go along those other stages. So yeah, it changes. And you don't remember. That's why I think we like you have another kid, because you like forget about the sleepless nights and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so I come from a family of 10 kids.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I have 9 siblings, and it was every other year for 20 straight years, no twins. And finally, my dad like jokes that he's like, we gotta like have my wife sign something, like when she's delivering the baby, like, I promise I will not forget this pain. Because every time it was like, this is the worst. What am I doing? Yes. And then, 6 months later, yeah, we could have another.
I know. I do that too. My husband's like, no, we're done. We finally got past like the diapers and all that stuff. Like, we're done. Stop. I get to live vicariously through people like you. So
what's it like being a girl mom? It's just girls, right? Just the two
Yeah,
girls?
yeah. I actually really like it because I see the girly piece in them, obviously, but I'm such a strong like woman, that I'm like, I'm glad that I get to be their mother, like
Right.
to teach them and raise them to be confident and go for it and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like God, like that was all divine planning of like, okay, because I definitely think it could work as well being a boy mom, but I feel like it's a little bit different dynamic. So, and my
Yeah.
husband is just awesome with them. So I feel like we're going to be able to raise really great girls.
Yeah, I've noticed. I mean, that same kind of theme. Looking through your social media, your YouTube, kind of what I understand you stand for is exactly that. Like, basically, bringing up a generation of strong entrepreneur,
Yes.
boss babe women. I guess
Yes,
to use the term.
totally. Yeah, and I think it should be okay to talk about that, of going after it, creating it, whatever, and having a voice and wanting to maybe build a business, but also be okay with making a lot of money because
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't grow up with that. And it's like, you didn't do that and you were mean if you were, or, stingy or whatever. And it's like, no, it's to bless other people, bless your family, change your family tree and bless other people. Like we should be okay with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely want to be the example for people of what's possible. And that's why I think I'm so passionate about being so vocal and visible and like share my story and be vulnerable because then they go, oh, she did it, I can do it.
Yeah. So when you say share your story, did you come from a place where you didn't have that confidence or that strength, or
Oh
what do you
yeah,
mean?
yeah. So I'm 3.5 years, just over 3.5 years of being sober. So I was
Congratulations.
a very highly functioning alcoholic. Yeah. So it's on both sides of my family. And we
Okay.
had them so close together. And I had postpartum and
Mm-hmm.
lost a really fancy paint, big job. And it was just the perfect storm of all the things. And so that's how I coped with it.
Mm-hmm.
But realized, I needed to get some real help and make some changes. So it was all mindset. So I was telling myself I sucked and I wasn't good enough. And, it was a vicious cycle. Right. And have you ever read Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill?
No, I've read some of his other books, but I haven't read that one.
My therapist, she actually referred it to me and I was like, this is
Huh.
so dumb. Cause I listened to the Audible and he was like, I'm the devil. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. But she's like, push through, push through. By the end of it, I was like, oh, those aren't even my own thoughts. Like this stuff I'm telling myself is not
Mm-hmm.
even my real thoughts. And so once I got control of my thoughts, told myself a new story, kept doing that. One day I woke up and I had reprogrammed my subconscious mind. And that's when I was like, I'm done. I'm not drinking another drop of alcohol in my life because I'm not one of those people that can. So if I want to create something awesome, I've got to let that go because it really was my demon. And everyone has their thing. We all have our things. And that was definitely mine. But then my life transformed after that. So I'm kind of glad I went through it, because now I can understand other people going through things and then they see that I just didn't wake up like this awesome person. I had to rebuild myself.
Yeah. So is that kind of what sparked the journey that you're on now, or had you already kind of gotten into the
So
entrepreneurial world?
I actually became an entrepreneur, getting into network marketing. So
Okay.
I'm a top recruiter in my company.
Oh,
So I
cool.
started, so I started in the spring of 2017 because my friend was having success and we were in so much debt and like my job wasn't paying the bills and I was in that, depression and all that. So kind of just Hail Mary, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go all in. I'm going to try it. I'm going to just do what she says and go for it. And so I had some initial success, but then I kept self-sabotaging and I realized it. I recognized it, luckily. And a friend told me about someone. She's like, you should talk to my friend. She's a therapist, but she's also a life coach and a Reiki healer and a hypnotherapist. Like I have PhDs in natural health and holistic nutrition. So I love all that like weird stuff. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, I'm down for talking to her. So once I talked to her, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really think she can help me. So I went into intensive therapy with her and was just like the model student. I was so hungry to make the change and break free because it was just getting worse and worse and worse. Right? I think you
Mm-hmm.
have to hit bottom to just be like, okay, enough is enough. And then when I did that, that's when I started learning about social media, going live, and build my audience. And then everything. I hit six figures really fast after that and quit my job. And, all I do now is coach people. And I'm a writer and I have a podcast. I speak. I do all kinds of things. I just love creating things and mentoring and loving on people.
I've looked through, I was looking through a YouTube channel, and there's a couple things that stand out to me. I mean, first, not to be understated, is the consistency and the quality and the amount of content that you can put out. I mean, that you must have an engine. Like how, what would
a lot of energy.
Like what tip would you give? I see you just pumping out stuff, and it's not like, some people pump out stuff and it's just, to pump out for the sake of pumping out. But it looks like you have cohesive, like marketing and everything is good. Like, are you constantly doing that? Like, what's your secret?
No. Like we were gone most of the summer, and I was still making, we'll do like over $1 million this year. So you have to build some stuff out, right? You can get residual or group coaching, reoccurring income, scaling your business. But what I do, and this is actually kind of funny how it happened, but I was already doing a lot of content, but to be able to put out that much and stay with it is the key. People will do a podcast and they'll quit, or they'll go live for 14 days and quit. So I have a public Google Calendar that my whole audience has, and it's all on there. Here's where I go live, what Facebook groups, YouTubes are released twice a week, podcasts twice a week, IGTV on Tuesdays, blog posts 3 days a week. They have a link to it. It's the Goal Digger Girl calendar. Mm-hmm. So if I say this is what it is, guess what I have to do? I have to produce the content that makes that real, right? We'll talk about like putting it out there. I mean, because a lot of us are like, 1 foot in the water. We won't commit to a time each week. We don't create a show. We don't really put like some oomph into it. So I actually plan out all my content a month in advance. So I have 2021 planned out as far as like key things, but once a month I pull up everything and I say, okay, what are all the YouTube topics, IGTV, Facebook Lives, and all that. I do free challenges. So I figure out all of what is the topic. And then what I do is on Sundays, I write down the specific details. So I'm going to teach on Instagram stories. Okay, what are the 5 things I want my people to learn? And I do it for each thing. And then I just batch record. So yesterday I recorded, I think maybe 10 videos of different things though. I went live several times. I did a couple of YouTubes, podcasts. I recorded a couple of meditation tracks for a free thing I'm doing with a journal that's releasing. So how do you do that? Well, I don't even have the journal yet. Like, I'm like, guys, there's a journal and you get these free meditation tracks. They're like, well, awesome. Well, now I have to do it.
Right.
So I've done that with everything. I launched just a 6-month group coaching program. We had a $250,000 launch and it was not built yet. And I told them, well, you guys are in beta. Like you are so lucky you get to build this with me. And so I think it's just putting it out there, and then you have to, I mean, how can you not, right? Like you just do it. So I do a lot of content, but this is the thing, like the more content you put out there, the more value you're offering, and whoever is offering the most value will always win. And it's awesome because I don't have to sell anyone. I just put a lot of value out there and I really listen and pay attention. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I need coaching. I need a program. I want to work with you because I've been digesting your content. The more time you get, and this is why podcasts are so powerful. I've had people go on road trips and listen to all my podcasts. I've never talked to them in my life. And they're like, I'm back from my trip, listen to you for 7 hours. I want to coach with you. And I'm like, who are you? They feel like they know me because they spent 7 hours with me in a podcast. So the more time you can spend with someone, you literally are building a relationship. And the awesome thing is with content, you do it once and it's out there. I have YouTubes from 2011 with my other channel because I have a Fit Kim channel. Million views on that channel. It's just going to keep going forever. Like those videos are never going to go away. So you do that one time and can see the return on investment and the amount of people you can impact. It'll fuel you for sure.
No, it's hard to imagine like the previous generations. I mean, I've grown up basically with YouTube. Not totally. I mean, I remember when it came around, but now like you get into the workforce, it's a totally different game. Like even if you're a large corporation, if you don't have an understanding of social media and content, there's entire industries that are on the backs of, what you're doing. Like 20 years ago, you couldn't have done a podcast or a YouTube channel. And now, I mean, can you hear my neighbor?
It's okay.
It's just amazing to me, like how lucky we are to have all these resources, and to not utilize them, honestly, it feels like a shame.
It does.
You got a
right
whole
now
world.
Too. And right now more than ever, people are just like struggling. And I'm like, no, like now's the time to go online. Now is the time to be that person, right? Like you have an opportunity, whether you're network marketing, direct sales, you have a course you've created, you have a coaching program, you have a thing, right? Now is the best time ever because people are looking. searching online businesses, home-based businesses. And what exactly do you do, Reed?
So I actually am a coach. I work for Singular Corporate.
Cool.
And I coach network marketers on
That's
how to build their business.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
yeah. So you're
Very
the perfect person to
cool.
talk to, because your content is exactly, like right along that same vein.
Yeah. And I actually have a lot of students in my program that are with Singular.
Oh, cool.
So yeah. And what's really interesting about that is a lot of times people are like, okay, how do I share a product on social media? And I'm like, you don't. So what you want to do is it's health and wellness space, right? And this can apply to anything that you're doing, that you're doing. If you're selling a planner, for example, you want to be teaching people time management strategies. How do they organize the household? How do they get all the kids doing online school? Well, you can still have time to work on your business and keep the house all afloat, right? Or keep the meals going and all that stuff. Because if you teach people the skills that make that the obvious solution, or you can identify a pain point through the conversations, the content, the connection you're having, then they're like, oh my gosh, I need a planner. Let me get the planner from you, because you're my time management girl, right? Same thing with health and wellness. If you're like, okay, today we're going to talk about 5 superfoods that are going to turn back the clock. The cool thing is you can find them all in the grocery store, and I'm going to give you a little hack at the end. So you give them 5 tips on superfoods. The last hack is, if you're sitting here going, I'm not going to go find all those, Kimberly, let's just be honest. Don't worry. I found a supplement I've been taking. I love it because it has all 5, and you just take it with a glass of water and you're done. So if you want the hack, just put hack below and I'll hook you up. So instead of being like, buy my product, you're telling them about superfoods, you're educating them. They're like, oh my gosh, I love her, right? So you can really, you can literally apply, this concept to anything that you're doing.
I think that's kind of the concept of the book by Gary Vee, Jab, Jab, Right Hook.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically like
value offer.
Yeah. Which kind of blew my mind actually the first time I heard it, because you think of ads when you think of marketing, and you think of buy. And I think now enough time has passed, we're savvy enough as consumers to just kind of shut off.
Yes.
Especially to just the bombardment of different ads and everything, always trying to sneak in. And now people are signing up and following ads for free. If you're an influencer, you're selling products a lot of the time, but people just love you so much as a person, they buy your products. You don't even have to pay for anything. It's not like putting an ad on the Super Bowl. It's just here's my personality, buy from me, and people do it. It's amazing.
Companies they have line items now to spend with influencers, because they're like, okay, if I can get this influencer to endorse my thing, their audience is going to want to buy it, because that person, and you can do this whole thing organically without spending any money, which is really cool. But I think the thing that people miss is, with Singular, for example, or any other company that you're representing, you don't want to come across as a salesperson. You don't want to be like, I'm a Singular sales rep. You want to come across as a person. You build up a personal brand. Branding is not like the gold digger girl. That's not what branding is. Branding is who you are and how you're showing up in social media. What do you want to be known for? And people struggle with this. I have the group coaching program I was talking about, is they struggle with this, because when I get to the part where I'm like, let's get really clear on your avatar, but health and wellness products are for everyone, but it's for everyone. I don't want to disclude the husband or the kid, or that's true. It is for everyone. But if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. You need someone to go scroll through and be like, oh my gosh, it's like she knows me, and then they feel like you're talking to them. And then they go, oh my goodness, I want to know more. And like you said, with the ads and all the things, people are digesting content. TikTok is 50 some minutes a day that people are spending. I bet Facebook and Instagram are way more than that. So they're spending all this time scrolling, right? And they're stopping and looking, and what's going to catch their attention? Valuable content, right? Where they feel like it's for them. They're not just going to go, oh, wow, that weight loss product is for everyone. They're going to go, oh my gosh, she's talking about post baby, losing that baby weight. That's me, right? So if you're sitting here listening to us and you're like, okay, this all sounds great. How do you do that? How did you grow your business online? I just figured out who my avatar was. And I said to myself, where am I at right now? I had a 1 and a 2-year-old, right? I had inflammation. I had baby weight. I had some running injuries, so I wasn't able to run. I had mood issues, right? So, being a young mom is hard. So I just focused on that. and offering value around that. And, notice that people were asking me about setting goals. They were like, you're a trainer, a personal trainer, a nutritionist, and you've had success, it seems. Could you teach us how to set goals? I'm like, sure. So I started doing that in a Facebook group. And then the goals turned into vision boards and business planning. And then I was teaching Facebook Lives. And that's how I got into business coaching, because I was giving them something. I was becoming, an expert in a specific thing that I felt comfortable with. But then I was able to morph into something that is more aligned with what I wanted long term. But you really just need to start. At the end of the day, I feel like people kind of get in that paralysis analysis.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's actually the one thing I was thinking of when you were talking was people that want to emulate that want to have a personal brand, that want to find people like them, like and attract similar people to their business. How do you know what your personal brand is? How do you go through that discovery?
Yeah. So if you're stuck, two things. One is people often will think of people who need their product or service or opportunity, right? Like network marketing. Oh my gosh, this business would change their life. They're a mom of 3 and they're in so much debt. This would change their life. But that mom of 3 is like not even there mentally. Like she's not ready to like build a business.
Sure.
But then you've got the mom who maybe has passed that crisis point, right? Or isn't feeling back against the wall, right? Like she's like, no, I really want to do this. I want to quit my corporate job. I want to be home with my kids. I'm going to start this part-time nooks and crannies of my day. So you're like, I want to work with her because she wants this, right? She's going to be coachable. She's going to be into it. She's got the time, the commitment. So you need to figure out who you want to work with. If you're stuck, just start with yourself when you got in. So where were you at in your life? For me, I told you, we were in debt. I had a job that I didn't love. I knew I wanted to change our family tree and change things. And I could see it was working for my friend, a close friend, right? I was getting that social proof of someone I knew. She was showing me her paychecks and it was really working for her. So I was like, okay. So when you first started and got into it, why was it you got in the product and fell in love? Like a lot of people in health and wellness, they get on it and lose weight, right? Feel incredible, start sharing with their friends on social media. And that's how they get into it. Think of how you were when you got into it. You wanted to lose weight. Focus on people who need to lose weight that were at that stage in your life. Maybe it was post baby, maybe it was, midlife, and you just kind of the pounds crept on. And then one day you're like, oh my gosh, I'm 40 pounds overweight. What happened to me? Right. Think about that person. And then what you want to do is you want to build content where you're addressing the pain points and offering a solution. So list it out, do a brain dump, get your journal out and do a brain dump and look at all your products and then hit each product. So maybe you have one for weight loss. Okay. Wants to lose weight, wants to increase metabolism, wants curb cravings, reduce appetite, write that all down. Those are all pain points. And you might have a product that is for energy. Okay, wants more energy. List it all out and then be hitting on that stuff. Don't make your personal profile on Facebook or Instagram just a constant newsfeed of advertising like you talked about. Talk about the pain point and the solution. Don't talk about the benefits like the Himalayan, mountains and the berries and all this stuff. Talk about the benefits, right? Oh my goodness, I ditched my mom naps finally. So excited because I'm not going to Starbucks anymore. I found something that's allowed me to stay up all day, have so much energy. I've been playing with my kids again. It's been awesome. Let me know if you are ready to ditch the mom naps. And that's called a curiosity post. But being able to just work that in, but you also want to share who you are, right? Like we both are parents, right? Share your kids on there, share successes that, teammates are having in your business. Put quotes in there that are inspiring to you. Go live. Like there's other things you can do to round out your profile. You don't want it to constantly be all about your products.
I love, as you're talking, I was just thinking about, it's hard to believe that not that long ago you hadn't done any of this. Right? You said it, what, like 3 years ago?
So exactly 3 years ago, next month, I started Facebook. I had 250 friends, was never on there. And then I didn't have an Instagram account. I didn't even know anything. I didn't even know how to go live. Like, I think the first one I did, like, you could see painter's tape in the background because like my little video, I don't even know, it's a mess. Yeah. It's pretty bad. I left them all there. If you guys want a little entertainment, go back and check them out.
I'll go check them out.
Yeah.
I've noticed with myself and a lot of people that I work with, obviously the hardest part is starting. And a lot of that is self-doubt. I personally believe that for some reason that's worse in women. They I don't exactly know where it comes from, but I think that they put a little bit more weight on their shoulders. If they fail, mom guilt is very real. They feel like they're taking away from their family if they try something like this, like network marketing, or honestly, just a lot of times acting for themselves, like, and you have come from that. You have come from rock bottom. You've come from, a problem with alcohol, and you've superseded that. What advice, I guess, would you give to someone who just can't start? They know what to do. They just can't push the snowball down the hill.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people are most responsive to any video I do that's marketing based. So I call it the sexy stuff, but how to grow your Facebook Live viewers or Instagram stories or the new reels. And the truth is, whenever your marketing isn't working or you're just not getting it going, it's more about the mindset. Because we're not going to go live and we're not going to post something vulnerable if we haven't spent time focusing on what's going on in between our ears. So and you are totally right with women versus men. Like I notice like if a guy wants to do something, and this is all stereotypical, but like my husband, if he wants to do something, he just does it. He's not like sitting there deciding if he's good enough. I mean, he built like a ceiling, like he put like wood, he sawed wood and he like put a ceiling outside. And I'm like, he's in an office, like he has a management job. I'm like, how do you even know how to do that? He's like, oh, I don't, I just, figured it out. And I'm like, so like guys just kind of go for it, right? With women, there's this whole thing that I see with students and clients is that they are they've decided that they have nothing to offer. Who wants to listen to them? They don't have value. I'm talking like rock stars, and I'm like, you've done all this stuff in your career, like let's translate that. And they're like, oh, I don't know, like I don't know who would want to listen to me. So I don't know if it's the way that they grew up. I know for me, single family household, we live with my grandfather. He's from now the Czech Republic, but Czechoslovakia, broken English. And it was very much like you were a good girl, you were quiet. The only time I ever got any kind of recognition from my parents, because my mom was working all the time and my dad just couldn't get his stuff together, was if I did something really good. So my perception of me being good was when I was very achievement oriented, excelled really well at something. And typically it was in school. And that was my identity for a long time, being perfect, having to have straight A's, right? Well, what happens when you try to be perfect? It breaks the ceiling. Like you can't sit there and be like that forever, right? You fail. Well, the reason why people don't want to go on social media, they don't want to go live, is because they're afraid of failing. They're afraid of what people think. They're afraid, all the things. Fear is your guidance system. Fear is telling you this is what you need to do to grow. And we never feel satisfied unless we're growing as a person. You feel alive if you're learning. Why do we love learning? Why do we love training? Why do we listen to podcasts? Because we're learning something. We're like, yeah. It's the same thing with feeling that fear and following through. You grow through the process. And if you notice, like I probably seem pretty happy, I am, because I'm doing some scary ish, if you know what I'm talking about, right? Like scary stuff. I'm just like, ooh, let's do this. So through that fear, I feel it. I still feel fear every day, like just like anyone else, but I've realized like that's there to help me. It's not a bad thing. And so when we grow up, like, ooh, don't touch that or don't do that. Or my mom, she's so funny. She always wanted me to be a flight attendant. I'm not really sure why, but I was selling my own stuff by 18. I paid for college myself. I moved out. I was schlepping Cutco cutlery knives. And she's like, just be a flight attendant. And I'm like, no, I have got big goals and dreams. No, I'm going to go do this. And she just wanted me to do something safe, something in her mind that was just a safe, reliable job. So I think when you ask that question, like it's a valid question of like, we do need to stake our claim. We need to work on our mindset. We need to tell ourselves we're worthy. And this is the thing. You don't have to be me and try to grow this huge audience really fast and do all these things. All you have to do is connect with one person. If you connect with one person, you have made a difference. And if you let go of the outcome and stop trying to sell, stop trying to close, stop trying to convince people and get people on your team, if you just focus on serving, you will attract the exact people you want to work with. And the more you serve, and that's why we talked about content, the more content you put out, the more people you're serving. The more people you serve, the more people that come to you. And it takes some time, but if you're consistent, so this is an interesting fact, and you probably see this in the business you're in. The average network marketer quits around the 6-week mark. Their breakthrough typically happens weeks 8 through 12. if they just would have waited 2 more weeks and pushed through, and this is for anything, probably Facebook Lives, growing a Facebook group, starting this whole thing with attraction marketing, adding value, just keep going. Don't even let quitting be an option. Just tell yourself, I'm going to keep going until I reach that thing. And that's what I did when I started. Again, had no clue what I was doing. But I said, I'm just going to keep going until eventually I'm going to figure it out. I mean, I can't like be here for 20, 30 years not figuring this out. Like, I'm going to get this, right? Yeah. And it was well worth my efforts for sure.
Well, I think that it's a certain personality trait. I don't know a better word to use besides faith. People don't usually use that in business terms, but like I guess a belief, a self-belief that the seeds that you're planting will eventually bring fruit in some way. And the people that succeed, the people like you or the people that are top in their companies, they're not usually the people that are the most talented necessarily. Or, I mean, you seem very outgoing, but they're not necessarily the people that are the most outgoing.
No, I didn't have a big network or anything. Yeah.
It's usually the people that lasted, I've found that just everyone else is falling by the wayside. And for whatever reason, even if they didn't have any more success, they just had some belief that eventually they were going to get it. And so they did.
Yeah. And I would say too, find a tribe of people that are like-minded. So who you're hanging around is really important. So if it's like, okay, that's what I love about the team model in network marketing. It's like you have these uplines, you have people who've had success that are mentoring down to you. You can get into, there's all kinds of free programs out there. There's Facebook groups, there's free challenges, there's content like this to digest. But consuming that content and listening to people who've gone the path that you want, success leaves clues. It's all been done. So just see who's doing what you want to do. And go on social media and find a few accounts. You're like, I like the way that person's showing up. Like, I like the energy. I like how it feels, and emulate it. Never copy it, but use other people's stuff for inspiration, because you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You can save a lot of time. But then you can see, like, here's my model. I need something to work off of. And you look at anyone, I'm in a Bob Proctor coaching program, Tony Robbins, they all had mentors. They all had people they kind of latched onto their coattails. And I feel like it was very common then for like Earl Nightingale. Bob Proctor worked with Earl Nightingale, like how incredible is that? But like, we forget about that, like that mentorship, let me put my arm around you, and that's what's so powerful about network marketing and teams and all of that. So make sure you're in a good supportive place, that people are encouraging you, they're telling you can do it. That way, as you do this self-work of telling yourself, like you said, having faith in yourself and that belief that you can do it, it's aligned with what's around you. And if you have a spouse that's not supportive, you have to have that conversation. I did with my husband, because he did not understand. And I said, look, I know it doesn't make sense to you what I'm doing, but I need you to give me some time. I need you to just, support me blindly. Let me have the space to do this, because I need to. And you want me to be happy, right? Well, happy wife, happy life. This is really important to me, and I know it's working. And it's going to take me some time to prove it to you, but you just got to trust me. And he did. We had to have some conversations, because sometimes I would be in my office on a Saturday, and he's like, we have 2 little kids here. Like, can you help me out here? And so we had to have those conversations. But if your spouse is in your ear telling you can't do this, it's hard. I mean, that's someone you're around every single day. So having boundaries, having those, conversations with people that are close to you to say, I know you don't get it, but I need your support. And then being around people who are rocking it that you can learn from is going to fast track your results.
Well, I mean, it's already hard enough if you have complete belief in yourself to accomplish something like that, to keep stoking that belief despite, failure or whatever. It's even harder when someone doesn't believe in you that's with you all the time, right? Like even if everything lines up in your favor, even if you have good coaches, your spouse and yourself, you all believe, it's still going to be hard. So I always like to say, like, get as much of that in your corner as you can, because even with all of it, it's going to be hard no matter what.
It's really hard. It is. There's no shortcut to it. And I say it's like the school of hard knocks. Like, becoming an entrepreneur is literally self-development. I mean, you don't grow faster as a person as to be an entrepreneur. And it is good to have things, stacked towards you, for you, like you said, because no matter what, it's going to be a steep climb, but it's something you create yourself. And then you can have that freedom and time freedom and financial freedom. But I mean, I'm home with, Elise just got home early. Addison's getting off the bus in a little bit here. I'll be doing family time until probably 9:30 tonight, and my team knows that. And that's awesome, because if I was at my corporate job, I would be getting home, 5:30, 6:00, rushing dinner, right? Seeing my kids for 45 minutes a day. Like, that's not what I want for myself and my family.
One thing that you said stuck out to me. I've heard, I think Tony Robbins say it as well, the progress thing, right? Like if you're progressing, if you're doing things that are a little bit scary, not too scary, right? Like you don't want to run down Main Street naked, but you want to be doing something just, barely past. Right now, you're kind of, you're spreading yourself and growing yourself. It's probably, I would guess, a little surreal even to think back on when you weren't that way.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What's that next thing? What is just on your horizon that's just scary enough that it excites you now?
Yeah. So hi, honey, come here. We got to shut the door if you're going to be in here. So I want to go to 5 million next year with revenue.
That's awesome.
The math doesn't add up. Okay. So let's just say however many students, followers, whatever programs I have to offer, it doesn't add up. So to say that, one, is scary because it's a lot of money, but two, I got to back it up now. Like we talked about, right? Like I need to make that happen. So it's challenging myself to stay in alignment. You can draw on the board. You want me to open it? What's happening? Okay. It's just to say it is scary, but to make it happen is another, and to stay aligned with it is really huge.
Hi.
Yeah, he can. He said hi, but I have my earbuds on so he can. Mm-hmm. He sure can hear you. There you go. So I think that would be a big one. And I definitely want to do something bigger for younger girls. So Addison just got into a leadership program. She's 6.5, but I don't know if it's writing some books for 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds, a book series. I don't know, something. I want to do something for those younger kids because like we talked about, I feel like a lot of that initial like identity and seeing themselves as worthy and having confidence, I think it starts a lot younger than we realize. And I don't know if there's enough resources there. So finding a way to make more of an impact with that.
Yeah, no, I love that. I was talking with my mother-in-law the other day, and she said something. I'm not a mom and I don't have daughters, but maybe you can relate to this. She was saying that one of the hardest things about having kids is growing up and seeing that they're just like you in some of the ways that you love, and they're just like you in some of the ways that you don't like about yourself. A lot of people would look at you as a boss babe, right? And I'm sure you want your daughters in some ways to emulate who you are. Have you thought about if they could be like you, what would you want them to take from who you are when they grow up?
Yeah, for sure. So I definitely like the idea, like Addison does lives with me. I like the idea that they're comfortable being on camera. She's done like one by herself. She's like, I'm a champion. I was like, okay, that's a good start. Because Carrie Underwood is the song that we sing. But I like the idea of them feeling comfortable in front of a camera, speaking in front of other people. And then they, especially Addison, they come up with ideas for businesses. So she sells jewelry and they make things for my gold diggers and we mail stuff out. So I like the idea of them like thinking that's normal to like have a business. And I like the idea that they think like there's no limits because they see me and then they think of things. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So I just didn't have that growing up. Like it was a very like, this is what it is, and I like the idea of that. So I would say definitely being brave and bold and going for it. And I think we really do need more strong, confident women out there because I think it'll give other women permission to do that, And then I also think it'll allow for healthier relationships and marriages and all that too, because it's kind of like, I honor myself, I value myself. So I'm going to expect other people to treat me a certain way. So I think it could kind of impact everything from them, even, growing up into adulthood.
I like that. I think there's a misconception, especially in the past, that a relationship was, two incomplete people that came together and they made like a new complete person. Where I've found is that you actually don't need two halves to make one whole. You need two wholes to come together. And
I agree.
like I've met people that say things like they're intimidated by successful women, or they wouldn't want to marry someone that was better than them, or things along that line.
The breadwinner,
yeah, which to me, for a lot of reasons, it's crazy. Like I have no problem if my wife made way more money than me. That'd be great.
My husband loves it.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, let's go build a mountain home. I'm like, okay. Hey.
Hi.
I broke my arm.
She broke her arm. She went.
Oh, can I see your cast? Does she still have the cast?
See your cast? No, it just came off today.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
She doesn't like that. She's like, don't touch it. Oh. But you're so right. You're a really, really wise guy, but smart. Like that's crazy. Like that's awesome. Cause most people don't have that kind of discernment, but it's absolutely true. And I think it takes a strong, confident man to be like, awesome. Like my woman, my my wife makes more money than me, but there's a book called Get Rich Lucky, BITCH. And in that book, she talks about how there's this horrible stigma. If you look at all the movies, the wealthy one was like a witch or she was mean or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why I talk about money a lot, not to be like, I make a lot of money. I talk about it because I want people to be comfortable with it. Mm-hmm. That it's okay to want that. It's okay to want to be debt free and give a ton of money away and take your kids on a trip or build a second home. Like it's okay to do that, because the more we do that and have that conversation, we're all going to increase the health around our money mindset and the relationship with money, So yeah, it feels a little weird sometimes because I'm still programmed, right? You don't do that. You don't talk about money or, your success, but I do it on purpose. I make myself because I know my audience needs it.
Yeah, my wife actually has had that same issue. When we first got married, for whatever reason, she was programmed the idea of, to be a little bit more submissive, that I was going to be the breadwinner and that she was going to basically latch on to my life and I would take us, where I was going. And it's been really good to have those conversations.
This is for you, Reed. This is for you, she said.
Oh, thank you. Ask, what is it?
When I heard, he said, what is it? What is it, Elise? Star?
Yeah.
What else?
And a heart.
A star and a heart?
And an oval.
An oval. Look at you and your shapes. Okay,
wow.
Awesome. Let me finish up with him, honey, okay? He said thank you.
Really you know your shapes so well. My goodness.
You know your shapes. You're rocking it.
You'll have to send that to me. I'll put it up on my wall.
Okay, I will.
And hey, I know you got a lot going on, so I don't want to keep you all day, but I do really appreciate when I work with so many broken women, I guess. Mm-hmm. I think there's kind of a funny paradox when it comes to network marketing because it attracts a lot of people that are broken.
Absolutely.
But in order to be good at it, you have to come broken, but you have to find a way to fix yourself or to work on yourself.
You're so right, though.
Well, it's true. Mm-hmm. And because for some reason, a lot of people that are already feel whole, they don't feel broken in any way, they don't come. And I don't know why. And then a lot of ones that stay broken, they don't stay. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, in order to succeed in something like this, that transformation, kind of like what you were saying, where you went from, alcoholic or alcohol, probably, I don't know if I use that term, but it's almost like if you didn't have that, if it weren't for the transformation, then you wouldn't have been able to be where you are. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to be broken or to have those problems.
No.
Because you need the transformation, right?
You need the transformation, but it also gives you the story. Mm-hmm. Because if you this is why I think there's a disconnect when people are maybe coaching or kind of stumble into it and just have this initial success, like crazy fluke people. It's not relatable. It's relatable that someone had a struggle and then to the success. And that's where the story comes, the journey, the growth, the inspiration. And you're right, though, because I think when people, when I was making six figures at my job before, I wasn't necessarily broken, but I definitely wasn't fulfilled. Sure. And all the growth I had happened in network marketing. So I think if the people who are, it's kind of everything's fine, they're not maybe drawn to it, but it's almost like the people who need to have that transformation and that healing and personal development, they're specifically drawn to it. So some of them stay with it long enough to make that transformation happen. And some of them don't, like you said. But really, once you go through it, I mean, I've grown more as a person in the last 2.5, 3 years, or how long am I doing this? 3.5 years, can't keep track. 3.5 years ago is when I started in network marketing. I've grown more as a person in the last 3.5 years than my whole 40 years of living. So how do you explain that? I mean, you can't get that from a job. They're not going to go through all the different components of leadership and connecting and learning how to talk to people and having relationships and offering value and asking people to become a customer or join your team and all of the stuff that goes with it. You don't have that elsewhere per se. So that's what I think is so magical about it.
Yeah. And what attracts people to you is the fact that you're a real person, like as opposed to other, like a professional athlete, you don't relate to that person really as far as them being an athlete. You just see them on a pedestal. Yeah. But network marketing, the fact that you have kids or the fact that, your house is messy or that you don't have makeup on or you've never done this before, whatever, long list of reasons why people feel like they're not adequate, ironically, is exactly what makes people like them. Right?
Yes. Yes. It's so true. It's so true. I love it.
I see your book back there.
Yes, I have many books.
So how many books do you have?
I have 4 books. 2 are bestsellers, number 1 on Amazon. So the first book I have is called The Fit Cam Lifestyle. I'm actually re-releasing it because it was picked up by a publisher. So long story, but I'm re-releasing it. And then I have my number 1 bestsellers are The Goal Digger, which is behind us. That's how I actually got in social media and started building, because a lot of people were like, what did you do to get started? I have another book called Why Balance is BS. It's the mompreneur's roadmap to getting everything she wants in life. So it's really built for those that are having a hard time with time blocking and prioritizing getting it done. And then a few months ago, we released The Art of Self-Discipline. And that's how to beat procrastination, overcome bad habits, just get it done, right? So it's that one's more of a manual. So each chapter has, a few concepts, 3 strategies for each concept. So it's like, go try this, just bite size, because when it comes to goal setting and all that, I feel like people get really overwhelmed. So I wanted to give them something that, practical that they could implement and start getting some traction.
Kimberly, I got to look into those. I'll definitely look at those. Are they on Amazon?
Amazon, all Amazon.
Okay. I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate what you stand for. I appreciate what you've already done. And I know that you've done really cool stuff as far as the network marketing goes. And for all the people listening that want to support you, how can they follow you? How can they support you? What can we do to help you?
Thank you so much. So I'm everywhere on social media. My website's thegoaldiggergirl.com. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, LinkedIn.
Okay.
IGTV, anywhere that there's something going on social media, The Goal Digger Girl, and it's GOAL. And the best place to follow me, I go live every Monday at 1:00 Central on The Goal Digger Girl on Facebook.
Okay, awesome. Is there anything I can do for you?
No, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I appreciate your time.
Awesome. Have a good day.
You too, Kimberly.
Okay.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.